The views expressed in this presentation are those of the hosts and guests and do not represent the views of any lodge, Grand Lodge, appended body, or any other person or persons whomsoever.
Brethren, we are at Refreshment.
I'm a cool guy, right? You know, we're cool. He's like, yeah. How weird.
Like I said, just a bunch of old guys eating hashed over crockpot food. And well,
You're just not high enough up in the conspiracy.
oh yeah.
And the potentate is right where you are. And what does he do? He just
starts laughing his ass off.
Welcome to the At Refreshment Masonic video podcast. I am your host, Wesley Reuter, and we're going to get right into this, introducing the rest of my panel. To my right is...
My name's Brock from Raven Lodge 303.
To my left.
Yoshi, Villa Park Lodge, number 1113.
And the man drinking the biggest beer in the house today.
Things ain't looking so good right now for me.
The tall boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my name's Marty, and I'm feeling some type of way, but we should still do the podcast. Wes, I would appreciate you taking my things more serious. So start the show. Please talk about the Masonry.
All right.
The Masons. Please talk about the Masonry. And the Masons, please. Please don't look at me.
Freemason and Freemasonry.
All right. Well, as usual, we have another guest with us because we have a serious question that I don't know why we're talking seriously on this podcast, but...
Wes, you okay, bro?
Yeah, I can't handle this
All right, Wes.
right now.
I'm having a breakdown, but hold it together.
Keep it together, guys.
All right. What are we going to talk about?
No, we're going to... You want to...
All right. Well, you're leaving it to me to intro this? All right.
Yeah,
because we were going to lean into you, and that's why I'm laughing, because we just talked about this, and you're like, I have no idea what's going on. That's why I'm dying laughing.
The year is 2019. Let's start there.
All right, that's a good start.
That is a good start, right?
Yeah.
All right. We got past the 2012 thing.
Yep,
the Mayans were wrong.
Yep.
But no, realistically, we're here doing a podcast about Masonry, which I feel is bigger than the term fraternal order. But at the end of the day, what is it? It's fraternal order. Now,
You were asking the question earlier. Where are we going to get our members in 2019?
there's an Elks Lodge I could hit with a brick from this room, and it's dying. There's a VFW in town that's still looking good. The Moose is dying. The Knights of Columbus got rid of the fun hats and turned into some Soldiers of Christ stuff that scares me.
Oh,
they look like
weird?
Ugandan
Really?
paratroopers. Dave, show the new Knights of Columbus outfit. So we all kind of know right now that the idea of community organizations and fraternal organizations are really hurting. And obviously, we love this. We love being Masons. We love being in men's groups. I feel Masonry is still on an upswing. I really do. I see new young guys come in all the time. But the big question is, where are we going to get all of our new members?
Yeah.
Where do they come from? Who wants to be a Mason? How should we approach them about being Masons?
Yeah. How are people finding Freemasonry even?
It's a different time than what it was, and I know people do talk about Freemasonry has not lost its way. What is it? What was I don't want to mention the podcast we were listening to, but the question the guy was asking or saying, do you remember? We were listening to it a couple days ago.
Not offhand, but just on the subject is about how are we finding these new Masons, or is ask one to be one? Is that
is that still relative?
That's what I was kind of thinking. Are there enough Freemasons where it's relevant enough that people even know? I never even met one until, it took me 10 years to meet a real Freemason that I was friends with, that I was like, okay. And I waited that whole time until I met a Freemason and I asked one, so it's like...
Yeah, but that's not a good system, though.
No, it's not. But that's the thing is that there are brothers that still hold true to that. There are still brothers that hold true to that. Because you know what? Maybe I might get a little crap for this, but I am like that. I to be one, ask one.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go out there and be like, hey man, you want to
or here's a billboard.
Okay, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that.
That's dangerous too, because
I'm not talking big ads.
Guys, before we go farther, I took it upon myself to book a special guest this week.
Oh yeah?
I did.
Who?
He's got all these special titles for Grand Lines I completely forgot about. But whoa,
he
We have royalty in the house.
I mean,
we forgot his name.
Wow, I apologize to viewers. Wow, we are having a hell of a time with this one already.
He can introduce himself when he gets here. But Patrick Robin, please come on down. Come to the panel.
Patrick! Welcome.
Why didn't you tell me you were getting him?
How you doing?
Royalty and titles.
Royalty and titles.
I don't. You know, after watching your last episode, I kind of wish I took up painting. It seemed to be a discussion that we're about to have here.
Patrick, you look like you walked out of a Men's Warehouse commercial.
I guarantee you. Like
You look like the Dos Equis guy's stunt
I know,
double.
right? I feel like
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, you know.
Patrick, you want to introduce yourself and all your fancy titles?
You know,
The ones you want to.
Right.
We're not going to force you to.
I have 3 fancy titles. That is true. Dad, husband.
There you go.
And brother. I mean, really.
Oh my God! You just give the politician no answer.
I did. No. My name is Patrick Robin. From Euclid Lodge number 65 in Naperville. I am the Grand Lodge, a Grand Lodge steward this year, as well as I'm also the Right Excellent Grand Scribe for the Grand Chapter of Royal Archmasons for the state of Illinois.
Awesome.
Very cool. Welcome.
Thank you. Still not cooler than Dad, husband, or brother.
No, it's not.
Hey.
It really is not.
Because you should try getting somebody to call me their husband. It's a lot of work.
Do you, as a steward, do you sit in all those important meetings and where are we going this year with?
I do not, actually. My job as a Grand Lodge steward, which I do almost as poorly as I did when I was a lodge steward, is to be there to help. You know, the heavy liftings, the rod work, and stuff like that. I am not a decision maker. I am not an opinion guy. I am
Once
a good
a steward, always a steward.
Right. I am a good worker bee. You know, that's you know, we all have our traits, and some will disagree, but I can follow orders occasionally, and that is so. No, I am not. Unfortunately, I have no deep cryptic knowledge. I do know where the treasure is buried, but other than that, you know, not much.
We all learned it in every
Right now,
lodge.
those
how
7
we're all
crazy
still
people
poor.
that post on every episode, like, see, I told you that there was treasure.
Right now, as soon as they see that, they're going to be like, oh, I got to write about this.
Well, the problem now, once it's broadcast, we'll have another meeting after the pancake breakfast
We'll
to
move
move
it.
it. Yeah, we'll move it again.
Oh, yeah.
so.
The treasure is constantly moving.
Oh, the epic pancake breakfasts that we have, you know, it was, you know, conquering the world one pancake breakfast at a time, right?
That's how it happens.
I even heard in 2020 they might start adding the blueberries to the pancakes.
Really?
There will be blueberry pancakes.
Wow, that'd be great.
You heard it
Real
here
blueberries?
first.
Wow.
Is there an
It was
organic
confirmed
syrup?
here first. Blueberry pancakes
Shut up, you
2020.
Organic maple syrup. Maybe not here. Well, anyway, Patrick.
Hey, wait, hold on. You know what?
I think
Have you ever
maple
had
syrup
real
is-
maple syrup though?
Yeah.
Compared to like this that hashed over maple syrup that they try to pass off.
Hashed over.
Hashed over.
Maple
I
syrup.
say I don't get offended easily, but being of French Canadian descent, let's
Oh!
not stop on the maple syrup there. Come on.
Hey, I love maple syrup.
All right, I'm just saying, you know.
He just dropped the C bomb.
Yeah. He was like, boom.
Everyone be careful before he gets passive aggressive on us.
There was a boot time.
Don't make me quit before we start any shit. All right, I'm just saying. I will.
All right.
All right. Tell us what this is a boot.
I'm still trying to figure out this.
Oh my God! I just realized. Hold on. Wait, what? Bad blue. Bad blue.
Could we start this episode with shots? It would go much.
Well, hold on. Real quick though, Patrick.
We haven't had a shot in 2 weeks since our last episode.
I know,
That's how it goes.
I feel like that episode just wrapped 20 minutes ago. But I'm
No,
not
it
sure.
didn't.
Yeah, I
Absolutely
could've
not.
sworn- it
There's
felt
no
like
place
just
to
a little
change
bit ago.
shirts in this fucking place.
Yeah, it just felt like
Yeah,
so
we all just happened to be
No way.
wearing the same shirt today.
See, I
I thought it was crazy when I showed up and then Wes showed up with the same shirt. I'm like, oh,
It's been
fuck.
2 weeks since
And then
we've
I
seen
seen
each other.
you
We
guys
just
were wearing the same
all
shirt, and I'm
wore
like,
the same shirt.
what?
I really
How
like.
did that even
I really
happen?
like the fact that they're stressing that no, we didn't sleep together last night. We planned this 2 weeks ago. That's okay. There's
I'm
nothing
not
wrong with
stressing that at all. I'm very open.
No, I'm not these two. I'm not these two. I apologize.
I know this.
I don't apologize.
We're very, very loose here today, but
No, we are. But actually, we do have an important
subject.
subject to talk about. And I really do want
Absolutely.
Pat to weigh in on this. You are really representative of 2 Grand Lodge bodies between the Grand Lodge of Illinois, which represents the Blue Lodge, and the Royal Arch, which represents the first step in the York Rite. Where do you feel the next generation of Masons is coming from? Because I don't think anyone has a good answer for that.
I don't know. I don't really know if there is a good answer. So you ask where the next generation of Masons is coming from. I think you go back and historically look, where did previous generations of Masons come from? It's, we should
I think
pay
they built
attention.
the lodges around them, to be honest.
Like, it could be. I mean, but you pay attention to history because you learn from it, right?
Absolutely.
And you hopefully don't redo the same mistakes, but maybe some things actually did work to bring people in. Now, of course, the Masonry's boom was after any giant world war, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we might be close to a boom pretty soon. Who knows? But not looking towards that as something. I think that you really have to look at college kids coming up today in the world, and those are your potential candidates. How do you get them? On one of one of your first episodes, I guess you guys all talked about how you became a Mason, and I like how you said, I read all these books and wasn't going to do it until I met somebody, and I asked somebody, and you just repeated that at the beginning of this. I went through it by sheer accident when I was younger. Yeah, I know. When I was younger, I worked for the CEO, and he was a Mason, and I was between 19 and 22 when I worked for him, and he wanted me to join, but at the same time, he was sending me all over the world to work on lottery systems with a corporate credit card and unlimited expense account. I'm like, I'm not going to meetings. That's stupid. I'm in Bangkok, which is not spelled phonetically. That will get you in trouble every time. But they. So I didn't, and then years later, I'm sitting in a hotel room in Burlington, Massachusetts. I was reading one of Dan Brown's books and watching. It's good. It's good fiction.
No, it's fine. The Lost
Symbol. And Nesson, what's at New England Sports Network for those profane here, and I was watching a Red Sox game, and in the middle of reading this and watching that, because they were playing the Yankees, so it wasn't much of a game. We knew who was going to win. So I was reading my book. And Ben Franklin commercial came out. And it was an advertisement for the Grand Lodge of Massachusetts.
Wow.
Really?
Yes.
Really? That's what we were just talking about, those ads. They're one of the rare states that do have public ads and billboards.
Really? Yep.
Absolutely.
And it was a Ben Franklin commercial, and it gave a website to go to. So I was like, what? I'm reading about crazy Freemasons that tattoo every part of their body except the top. Hope I didn't give that away. The boat sinks at Titanic, too. But anyway. And so I went on the website. I put my book down, and I went, because I can't do 4 things at once. I went on the website, and it said I was from Illinois, because I had to admit that at the time. And it kicked me to the Grand Lodge of Illinois website. And it had a little link, and it kicked me there, and I filled out a form. And sure enough, they forwarded it off to the lodge that was closest to me. I got a phone call, and that's how my journey started.
All right.
So that to be one, ask one, I think that you said, it still is relevant, but that...
Your way is common, too.
To ask one. Well, I did ask one. I just didn't know him, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know him. But
that is very cool.
Thing,
So it kind of brings it, yeah.
It might have been around the same time. I don't know. What?
2009.
Yes. Okay. The Grand Lodge website. Do you remember it showing like pictures of like firefighters, police officers, crosswalkers?
Dude, I've been sitting at this bar for 2 weeks. I don't remember what the website
Okay.
had.
No, because it's funny because you got through that way when I sent everything through information I want to be contacted. Never heard anything.
Really?
Yeah. And I asked Herb Lindbergh about that, and he's like, things were not good with the website back
Well,
then.
they're definitely...
But to hear you
Technology's
get
way
through, because that
better
was
now.
the year I actually applied online, or not applied, asked for information.
And didn't get anything back.
And didn't get anything
No,
on the
I
website.
did. And the way it works, the way the website works, it's no big secret, is there is somebody that monitors that, receives the emails, the forms, sees what area you're from, and then reaches out either A, to the district deputy of that area, or B, directly to a lodge, depending on the scarcity of the area. For example, for me, I lived in Aurora. There was only one actual lodge that met in Aurora. There is an Aurora Lodge 254, but they meet in Oswego, right? That's where you're from.
Yeah.
Last week I was
Right, so-
Jerusalem 90.
I was raised in Jerusalem, Temple of 90.
Wow, that was cool.
okay.
Who was the master when you were going through there?
When I started, it was Tim Weissenslack. When I finished, it was Leonard Stoker. Or vice versa. No, but I mean, I came in. It it was that, but Jim and John Essig did all the work, and I actually.
Hey, I know those guys great.
because
Jim and John are awesome.
I learned a lot being a member of that lodge and in that district. They do a lot of work together. I think that all the degrees that are done in that district are done with all the lodges working together. So I came in there, and I actually did my long form proficiencies for second and third with John Essig.
Ooh, you did first, second, and third.
Yeah, you did third too. Wow, look at you.
Yeah, but I did that with John Essig. Was my.
I mean, those guys just blow me away with how much knowledge, and then that they're twin brothers is even crazier.
Yeah, it is.
Because I met one of them the first, and I'm like, oh wow, he's very knowledgeable. And then I start realizing, I'm like, wait a second. I had one of those moments where I'm like, they're twins, dude.
And it's funny when one of them says,
because you don't see
the weirdest moment. You're like, hey,
twins. Because one comes in first, and I seen him, so I was like,
wait,
I
do
was
all
new.
twins have to enter at the same time?
No, but I just.
Wait, are they those like weird twins that wear the same exact clothes?
Definitely not.
Similar.
No.
Similar because
Similar but
when you go to
different.
lodge, everybody's wearing similar, right? You know what I mean? Yeah.
So they're
not
wearing suits.
everybody wears their at Refreshment video Masonic podcast t-shirts that we're spitting out there.
But yeah, I mean, it's amazing though that they're brothers, and they're so in our district.
They're very good. They are very.
Every
very
lodge
good.
they
Very
help them out. Like
proficient.
he's saying, we're all very close, and we all go to each other's degrees. We all try to help out as much as we can with everybody else, and that's what makes our district great. I think.
I agree, but I think that everybody has a great point, right? To be one, ask one, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think asking over the internet is asking for it.
Yeah.
Now,
Same
of
idea.
course, 10 years later, whatever, technology is better. There are committees, there are employees, there are people that are looking at it and forwarding it and doing it much more efficiently.
True. Now, when were you appointed junior or senior Grand Steward?
There are 4 Grand Stewards.
Oh, okay.
So we don't bicker amongst ourselves. Although in the pecking order, I am the junior, and I am the northern one. The other 3 are all from the Bloomington Normal area. And for a time, I had shaved my beard off, and my wife was very disappointed that I had shaved my beard off. But when I became a Grand Steward, they all had beards, so I grew my beard back. So my wife is totally supportive of me being a Grand Steward.
Is that true? You can just shake your head
back. But I was just appointed October of last to fill a vacancy when Larry, who was a Grand Steward, went on the board of Grand Examiners. So
now, this isn't really like a Grand Lodge question, but more of your opinion, because we were talking about where are we gonna find the next generation of Masons. Now, here in Illinois, we've been saying the next generation should come from DeMolay, which I totally agree with. But should that be the sole focus?
No,
I don't know how large DeMolay is.
I don't, and again, just my opinion. I do not.
Right. No, this is your opinion. Yeah. It's not.
I have to say that even when I'm sitting with my wife, that anything I say does not reflect the views of anyone sitting to the left or the right.
No, you're not speaking for the Grand Lodge.
DeMolays are a phenomenal source, a phenomenal resource of new membership, but it's not a self-sustaining thing.
I mean, it seems very obvious.
There aren't enough.
That's not the sole, or it shouldn't be the sole answer.
It's not the sole, right? Those are kids that, of course, are definitely our future. You see, what I would envision is you're going to get a lot more leadership from that particular source because of the way they were raised.
I'm gonna be working for half those kids in a few years.
Exactly. I mean, but because of what they've learned and what DeMolay has taught them, it's an easy transition into Masonry. And I mean, I've had the pleasure of sitting in at a couple of the ritual competitions. Holy cow! Like they would make people in your lodge cry. The Tyler at your lodge would be like, "Geez, I didn't even knock right compared to this."
They opened Grand Lodge.
Yeah, they opened up for Grand Lodge.
That was
Yeah,
a beautiful Grand Lodge.
Guys, real quick, we're getting to the point where we need to take a commercial break. We'll be back with why Patrick Robin doesn't believe the children are the future.
We'll be right back.
I'm going to teach them well and let them lead the way.
And welcome back to the At Refreshment Masonic Video Podcast. We left off talking about where are we going to get the new memberships in 2019, and is DeMolay the sole answer? We were saying no, but how do we campaign, as a brotherhood, as a fraternity, how do we attract new members?
Honestly,
Take it off, Yoshi.
honestly, I think a great tool right now, it's especially with trying to break the stigma that we have, is actually social media. To be honest with you, with Facebook and Instagram and what we're doing here with our YouTube video podcast is using that social media because you're gonna have people that are gonna like look into it. They hear about it. They hear someone go, "Oh my God, those Freemasons!" Or you're gonna have somebody be like, "Hey, those Freemasons are pretty cool. Did you see them in the parade or doing whatever?" And I think that's a really good tool. Is that's gonna inspire people because one of the things I've said this before and I'll say it again is one of the things that I love the most about the fraternity is the diversity. We have the old timers, we have the middle-aged guys, we have the young guys, and then we have the guys that are like fresh out of college, fresh out of high school.
Well, like the D Mole.
Yeah, like D Mole, and they're coming in,
right.
and
D Mole is a good answer.
Numbers.
Yeah.
D Mole is a good answer.
It is a very good.
It shouldn't be the sole answer. And I'm
I
not
don't-
saying
I
that.
don't
A
think
lot
it
of
is
the
the
D
sole
Mole
answer,
guys
though.
just came through the Scottish Rite too.
Yes,
so they're
yes,
joining
no,
other
and that's
different
great.
bodies.
That's all Bloomingdale chapter because they all went to
Yes.
Lombard Lodge and they're
Yep.
going through the Scotch Rite. Dude, those
what-
kids are killing it.
Great
right,
kids.
right. No, I understand, but what happens when that peaks?
With D Mole peaks or everything else.
The membership with D Mole coming into Freemasonry because okay,
Well, no, that's what
you're
I'm
going to
saying.
get new members all the time, but
Yeah.
as everything does, as every campaign, everybody knows, every good businessman knows that there comes a peak and then there's a dive off. So right now, D Mole, yes, okay, but
Freemasonry
where are we
in
gonna go
general,
from
we
there?
are on a
But see, I
dive
think,
off.
I think we've experienced that on and off. I mean, realistically, if you look at, I got in I think about 7 years ago. It was almost it wasn't a different fraternity, but it felt different. Like there was no Refreshment Masonic podcast at the time. There was no a lot of cool stuff the Shrine was doing. There's not a lot of cool stuff the Scottish Rite or York Rite or Grotto was doing. I kind of got in at a point where I got to see a lot of the new stuff, come to be. Realistically, our producer Dave, when he got in, they were pretty much doing Grand Masters festivals just to fill membership. Dave, nod at me if I'm right when I said that. Okay,
yeah, he said yeah.
That was a nod.
Okay.
There was a nod.
So we have those ebbs and flows, but I mean, I don't know. But do we promote? I know to be when asked when we have the demo lays as a direct feeder system, but how do you bring it up in a modern day conversation? How do you take that guy at work who you think is a decent, solid guy?
Well, as Pat was saying in Boston, right, or just in the state of Massachusetts, or was it just Boston? That they were having
state.
That was a Grand Lodge of Massachusetts commercial,
But-
so it would be the states.
okay, so it was the whole state. Is that
Do they get it? Did they get a lot of that? I mean, they got you, but you went to
Well, they
Illinois.
didn't get me. Illinois got me. Well, 'cause I live here, right? I mean,
yeah.
I'm originally
Is
from
that-
there, but I was
okay,
there for
from what
work.
you
and-
The
see
campaign
over
was
there.
successful though.
right? Because it brung you in, even though over here in Illinois. But is that something? Again, this is just your opinion that we should maybe adopt.
Well, I think we're getting there, right? It's funny you mentioned that 7 years ago when you joined, it was
It was completely different.
a
It really was.
flatline fraternity,
Yeah.
right?
was,
And now it's not, right? Now you've got the Grand Lodge embracing social media. You've got the Shrine doing things. You've got a new Grand Commander for the Scottish Rite. That is McNaughton retired and glad he took over, and he's embracing a lot more social media education, live streaming. I just found out the other day that the Grand Lodge of Indiana live streams their Grand Lodge session.
Really?
So if you can't,
Whoa.
if you can't make it, that now from my understanding is they don't. It's not the whole thing. For example, the voting and legislation is not live streamed.
Okay.
But a lot of the introductions, which is usually when you got the split screen watching the football game. But the introductions, a bunch of other stuff is live streamed, including the breakout sessions they have in the afternoon, the leadership training, et cetera, is all
And those
live
are
streamed.
amazing.
And those
So
are
that-
actually way more important than just the cross the T's, dot the I's stuff. That is all
Right.
the business sessions. That's the real development. That's what we're going down there to learn.
Years ago, I was an officer for 6 years in Valley, Chicago, And years ago, Greg Clem was a big mentor of mine. He's since left. He lives in Mississippi, retired. But they sent me and Alan Hubble to a leadership convention in Lexington, Massachusetts for Scottish Rite. And he pulls me off to the side. He goes, you're going to learn a couple things in the sessions, but hang out at the bar at the hotel, because everybody's coming in, other than those that are from the Valley of Massachusetts, everybody, or the Valley of Boston, I should say, in Massachusetts, but everybody's coming in. So I sat there, and of course, you don't have to tell me to hang out at a bar twice, right? I mean, I'm being ordered and on an expense report to go hang out at the bar. I met so many people that are still. Oscar Allen is one of them. He's a Grand Lodge officer in New York now. At the time when I met him, because this is when the videos were starting to become more prevalent, and some people were not happy about that and whatever. But and I wasn't, right? Coming from the Valley of Chicago. But when I met Oscar and his valley, they only had 2 of the 4 bodies. They had to travel 3.5 hours
in Maine
to Manhattan
also like
to get the 32nd, because they didn't have a consistory.
Wait, they didn't have a 30.
Is that southern?
Like,
no, it's northern. That's northern.
Yes,
New York is northern.
This is an amazing topic that could be a whole entire show.
Okay,
Which we should do a Scottish Rite episode.
But that then to me defined. Well, that's a great reason to do videos, because you've got these guys. Who's going to want to go and join? Meet at 7 a.m, drive 3.5 hours. See a couple of degrees, and then drive 3.5 hours home. That's a very hard sell when you're talking, especially when you talk about new membership.
You're right. So nowadays, yes, it definitely is.
They've since merged, and they do have all 4 bodies, but they're still extremely small. Not like the Valley of Chicago. Now, the Valley of Chicago these days are using the DVDs for traveling degrees.
Yeah,
that is a great idea to go out, because when you're an independent body, your source, your pool are Masons. That's it, right? You can't go to Jewel and hand out flyers as people are walking out. They can't become a Scottish Rite member, a Shrine member, York Rite member, etc. So they're going to these lodges, showing the DVDs and showing the degrees, and that's great. And then enticing them to now come to the Valley. I think that is again a perfect use of the DVDs.
Now, again, not a Scottish Rite member yet, but I do understand that the videos and a lot of production value.
You can tell. You can tell when you watch them. These were the first crew they made, and then it got the first time. Like, I am not an artist in any way, shape, or form. No, but I'm watching that. I'm like, dude, I don't even have a Mac, and I can do better slide transitions than that.
All right,
I've never seen the old ones. I've only seen one video degree, and it was a new one.
If you're in the Northern District, jurisdiction,
Yeah.
district. Okay, thank you. But if you're a Scottish Rite member in the North and you've seen the 4th degree, you know what we're talking about.
It reminds me of when I was a kid, and you got to choose the laser background for your photos.
Yes! Oh gosh! Thank you! Yes! Oh gosh!
And you're like, and just like you said, like you said last episode, being a geek wasn't cool. Absolutely, you had the laser backgrounds. You were still a virgin. Right?
Oh my gosh!
All that was missing was your cat on the lap, or in the overhead picture over here.
Eating one of the little pocket
Yeah, it was bad.
It's been a while since the Valley of Chicago has shown that, because I've done the acting in the 4th degree. With the live stuff is much better, but the new stuff that we've had in the last 4 or 5 years has totally exceeded the 4th degree.
Well, it's because of technology. So again, back to Marty's point.
The filming of it, I should say.
Back to Marty's point. 7 years ago, it was flat, right?
Yep.
So the leadership at the time, regardless of what, wasn't embracing social media or technologies. And then how much would it have cost, or would it have even been possible 7 years ago, to sit here and have this?
Well, no,
don't think so.
No, think about these cameras and everything that we have. It's impressive. It's professional. But this was a few $100s more a few years ago.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
But
you're right.
how many people were hobbyists? How many people were doing
Exactly.
it? So it's that whole. It's not just the fraternity buy into technology. It's the individuals buy into that technology.
I mean, we have to. It all has to kind of grow, because we want it to grow. We can bring a skill to the table and help it grow.
And a lot of the people that do act in those degrees are Scottish Rite members. They are people that
No, they all are.
Yeah,
They all
are very into those. And from the degree that I've seen, it's on location. They do everything. Like, I mean, it's almost like a Hollywood mini production, but it's like watching. It's almost. I don't want to say it's cooler than seeing the degree, but it's in a weird way. It's something different.
It's a polished version. Could you say polished, maybe?
Yeah. It's seeing. There's nothing like there's nothing like seeing the degree live. That's the best. Or being a member in the degree.
There's nothing like watching a Demolition Derby either, but it's not a Michael Bay movie.
Dude, exactly. But sometimes there'll be explosions. Somebody might get burned alive. You don't know.
He was just bummed out because Jennifer Fox wasn't there. He's like, Demolition Derby girls are nothing like Michael Bay chicks.
I don't remember what degree it was, but I know Omar Ali and Rich Carnell, they went somewhere and they filmed a degree. It was a Scottish Rite degree, yes. In the desert,
with
Knights
Guy
Templar.
Hamilton in the tent? Was it when he was dying in the tent?
Yes.
You just saw the silhouette?
I've seen that
Templars
one.
are chained up and they go...
No, it's two different ones.
You're talking about the one I've seen that. That's the only one I've seen. The cowboy.
No. Not the cowboy degree. I know.
That's the only one.
Well,
I've seen.
when you said knights,
I know. That's a slang
Knights
term.
Templar. I don't want to give too much.
Slang term.
We'll find out.
The Knights Templar come in and they're talking to a prince, and Omar plays the prince, and Rich Carnell is one of the Templars. And the reason why I mention this is because it was actually like a Hollywood setup. They had this guy that did a couple Hollywood movies, I believe, if I remember
It's that
correctly.
nice. It's
I
so
don't
nice.
remember the guy's name, so I'm not going to toss the name out there or anything. But that's what I was told, that it was set up exactly like a Hollywood production.
Well, as it should be, though.
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, you do it right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But-
That's how I feel.
But then take
Exactly.
but take technology out of it, and that is the way the fraternity has functioned forever. Because
Yes.
look at the
that compared to the
backdrop.
fourth degree
Yep.
is what I mean.
Oh, yeah,
That's-
well, because
that's what we need.
that was
is
production
more
value
of
technology.
If we're going to do that.
Look at the backdrops that the Valley of Chicago has. These things
Beautiful.
were painted in the early 1900s.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're sitting in the audience; they look three-dimensional.
Yeah.
I mean they are. I mean
It's
they've
layers
been
upon
restored,
layers.
but they're legit.
Yeah.
You go to every degree is different, right? So
Yeah.
let's take it. Poor Marty and these guys.
I know, I feel bad we're
I
getting
feel like
Scottish
I'm only
Rite
talking to
heavy.
half the table.
No.
So let's talk.
No.
I'm just laughing
Tell
at
everybody.
Marty. I'm sorry.
Let's talk to the whole table.
I'm laughing
So
about it.
there are legends that are going about, and I've been fortunate to be able to travel in my York Rite function to different York Rite specifically chapter events in Illinois, Indiana, and Wisconsin specifically. And there are parts of a legend where you go down, you dig, and you find things, and so on and so forth. And there were buildings. There are buildings that have a mine shaft that they used to lower people down in a rope.
Yeah.
As if
I've heard-
they were
I've heard
doing
of-
that.
I've
you
heard
know,
of it.
where they have these things. They don't do that now because of, well, like you said, just rope weight limits and things in your last episode. So they don't do it.
People just bitch.
You know, right?
No,
But
it's true.
I mean,
me and him talk about this all the time. It's like, God, I would like to go through like the way that they used to do it. You know, before people started. Oh my! It hurt me.
Yeah, like
you
how
know, it's
Washington went through his 3 degree. I would love to go.
Well, that's
Frozen
why
blood, put me in the casket, do the
Yeah,
whole fucking
That's what I'm saying. Bring the casket back out.
yes, please. I would have loved to have gone through all.
That's why I wanted to do mine the old way, and I did it individually, and I did it long form because that's the most that you can
that's
request
right.
to do
That's the
it
closest
like
you
you
get to-
used to do it.
Yeah.
Well, I want to stop and kind of turn wheels here because
your show.
You are. Yeah, thank you. All right. You
Contract
are
pending.
a shrine member of Medina, and you have a pretty big title there.
I do not. I mean, I am, but it's not big.
Well,
it's
to me, it's
directed.
big 'cause I don't have a title.
It's directed. It
title.
just fits like it's like small. No, I am the director of ceremonials at Medina, and I'm also the major of patrol there. You may have seen my major minder posts on Facebook to make sure that my patrolmen keep me in order. There are none here today, which is why there are shots in front of us. See, if my patrolmen were here, they would not allow this to happen because they know what happens. So no, I am. This was my third year as I've been involved with the ceremonial since pretty much I became a Shriner in 2010, playing a part in the ritualistic divan, and then finally when Alan Hubble retired from the shrine, not work, but then moved to North Carolina. He handed the baton over to me, and it's a lot of fun. We all have a different role in life, right? I'm a horrible recruiter. Like, I am not good at being like, so what do you do every other Wednesday? Wow. You know, kind of thing. I'm bad at that.
I actually want to quit Masonry every time I talk to you.
Yeah, I don't think that's for me.
Well, you know, if you start doing shit right, I won't have to keep correcting you. And
Look at Dr. Titles over here.
I think it's his show now.
Oh no! So, we gotta step over now.
So, but one of the kind of where this ties into is, you know, the shrine had to reinvent itself for years. You had to be, at one time, you had to be both a Knight Templar in the York Rite and a 32nd degree in the Scottish Rite to become a Shriner.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And then they dropped it, and you only had to be one or the other. And then the shrine, and it was 99, said that you just be a Master Mason, right? You don't have to worry about it. So the shrine reinvented itself, and what that actually had to do was that forced the York Rite and Scottish Rite to have to reinvent themselves, because up to that point they never had to market. Yeah. Because their marketing was the shrine. And what the shrine does very well is marketing because of their philanthropy.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because everybody knows who the Shriners are because of the parades, because of the hospitals, because of helping kids.
Yep.
But then they don't realize, oh, they're also Masons.
Yeah.
They don't make that correlation. You and I would know that,
Absolutely.
but they wouldn't.
Well, what about, I've heard this thing of bringing people that aren't even Masons into the shrine.
That is so.
It's a talk, though. It's a common thing on the interwebs.
Well,
people are talking about that.
So I can honestly, I can answer this question. No. So
Never.
The shrine is governed. The shrine is very different than the Blue Lodge and York Rite. They're governed by Imperial, which is an international organization, and the underlying rule is you have to be a Master Mason. There are one or two exceptions to that because of problems in the state with the Grand Lodge and the shrine, and they fight and whatever, and that's their business.
That's
right?
interesting.
And that's
rare case.
Those states. Michigan was one, but that's all square, and I want to say it was Arkansas or something like that.
I think it was Arkansas. I was just going to say,
Michigan's
I do remember
always
that. Like,
with everybody.
And Arkansas was another one. But
Michigan,
really
get
weird.
along
But
with
that,
everyone.
and that was their political infighting that I don't want to get into because it's none of our business. It's Arkansas.
No,
you know?
it's not. It's just, wow.
But
it's just weird. Being in Illinois, that knowing that you have to be a Master Mason to be a Shriner. So that,
and the problem
that's why
was
it
is
seems
that
odd.
the Arkansas, the Grand Lodge, and I hope I'm right, it's Arkansas, but the Grand Lodge then said we're not going to recognize the Shriners. So that made the Shriners a clandestine organization. That caused, different issues.
Everybody was freaked out. Yeah, it's
some
ridiculous.
people, you made people choose between Masonry and the Shrine, and you're clandestine if you stay with the Shrine.
But actually, that was the Widow's Sons in Michigan too.
It was just it was a bad time.
But this was people. This was not Masons or Shrine Imperial. This was people that had an issue that unfortunately then carried and affected a lot more people than it should have. But that being said, that's not the case, right? You have to be a Master Mason to be a Shriner. That is the standing rule. I have heard nothing of that changing. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Although I do believe there
I'm out here. I'm surfing the web.
There was somebody in the grassy knoll, But other than that,
exactly.
And the moon landing was done in Hollywood. But I don't believe in conspiracies whatsoever.
Dude, I think Brother Buzz Aldrin's losing his stuff.
He's not
we
losing
will do a
it,
moon
man.
landing episode.
Yeah, we
James
should.
Bond was still 30, and he's only had plastic surgery.
Hey, actually, you know what, guys? That's a great point. What we're gonna have to do is this episode's going into extra innings. Let's take a quick break for one of our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
And we're back at the At Refreshment Masonic Video Podcast. And we left off talking about the Shrine the last time. And Pat, there's a new Shrine Club that was just formed. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
No. Yes, I guess.
All right, we're going to just end it with shots then.
So if I could just back it up a second, it's not formed yet.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
but it really ties into what you're asking is how do we get new members? Where are the members coming from in 2019? And every Masonic body does certain things really well and lack in other things. What the shrine does really well is they try to tap into a group's interests. Hobbies, as you were talking about on your last podcast.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Continuity. One of the things is there are a couple of young guys that ride Jeeps together. And they met because of that. Then I don't know if they actually met because of that. I don't know their true love story, but they are, a couple of the guys are members of Medina. And a couple of them are children of members of Medina.
Oh, very
And a couple of them
cool.
are brothers to wives of people and children at Medina. There's a concubine. I don't know, whatever. But there's a lot of
concubine that works.
there's a lot of relationships
International.
there. And, why do they get together? They get together initially because they have this interest in Jeeps and mudding and whatever that is called. I have a Honda, so I don't know. But, whatever. And my Honda's
say that again?
my Honda's a hybrid. So
It's a super Honda.
Yeah, it is. I can't get through mud. It's not like a Prius where you can just hold it back with one hand as it swings at you. It's not quite that. But so then what Rick Miller was the one that was kind of instrumental in this. He's like, look, we do this here. Why don't we do this there? So Medina Lodge 1182, which I'm also a member of, are bringing these guys in. It's great to have a lodge that meets at the shrine. It's new
it's killer.
recently, but it's not a new concept, right?
Yeah.
It's something that has been in place before. It's just new there recently. And these guys are coming in. They're going to come into the ceremonial, which already happened on April 27th. On April 27th, and they're going to then at that point, when they become nobles, they're going to start this club. When I was raised, I was immediately given a petition for the Scottish Rite and Shrine, almost with the left hand, as everything was happening, and I did. I bought into it, and obviously I'm still active and enjoy it. Now that I'm older and wiser and poorer, I think that there should be a little bit of time. You should wait. You should understand, because the Blue Lodge is our foundation. The appendant bodies are great. They're all very different. They all have something to offer. I don't have a bad thing to say about any of them. They all have their good points, But if you don't understand the fundamentals, if you don't understand the foundation,
You need your feet wet.
You
You get your feet
can't.
wet.
Well, you can't be that true cornerstone that holds up a building if you don't understand
How to use the working tools, or
Exactly.
how to
Right.
do anything in the lodge room.
But these guys that they're bringing in are young,
Yeah.
I'm not young. I don't look it, but I also am not it. But these guys are in their late 20s. They are young. They're enthusiastic. So it's great that they're being raised and they're joining the shrine. And Medina Lodge is doing a great job. They're not doing classes. For example, this month they're doing 3 or 4 third degrees.
I was just
right?
going to answer that.
There's
I
actually
did
one
hear that
happening
you
while we
guys-
film this.
Yeah.
Yes, tonight. Yep,
Oh.
that is correct. Yep.
Okay.
As is tonight is since we're going to give away the continuity, is also the Feast of the Paschal Lamb at the Valley of Chicago.
Yes.
So they're doing it right. They are. They're not just. They didn't just create a lodge to make Shriners. They created a lodge to make Masons, and with the hope that some of these Masons will become Shriners. And
Medina Lodge is second to none, and if anyone ever says, "Oh, it's just a shrine," I think no, that's
it
no,
totally
it's
is not. It
And
was
like we
just
talked
simply
about the history,
started by
dude, the print, the old building, man, the nostalgia that that exists. Like one of these shrine caps right here is from my wife's great grandfather, who did the same thing you did, Master of Ceremony, at the Medina Shrine in '54.
Wow.
So it's like,
But I did say I
Think
was
of how
not young, but
crazy
that
that
was before
is.
my time.
yeah, absolutely. So it's like,
yeah, he was 64.
And that's
18, 64, thanks.
like the master of ceremony. That's how we met when I joined the shrine.
Yeah, I'm not the master of ceremonies, right? So there's a
Well,
difference.
okay. When you were
The master of ceremonies is the face, or is
Yeah.
the voice, is that. I am a background guy now. I was the ceremonial potentate for many years.
Yeah.
That might have been, when did you come in?
2000 and just 2 years ago.
That would have been my first as a director. I was on the mic a little bit more, but yes, I do MC the cold sands.
I remember
when
I'm like,
I do.
Yes, I do use it. That's one of those. I am doing this.
That's one of those few jobs I had to do accidentally because the guy who was supposed to MC didn't show up.
Hey.
I just fell in love with it. I'm like, this is cool shit, man. This is
it was
fun.
great.
I don't know if I want to give this one.
You were good and everything. I'm like, okay, I got to do this.
Ceremony potentate when I went through.
Yeah, and that's how I started. But and again, I'm a bad recruiter, but I think I'm an okay mentor. But I'm a good worker, right? I'm a good worker bee, and so to put through years ago, I used to teach for a living, and I had a student who was staring at me, just eyeballing me, and he either thought I was super hot, but I wasn't at the truck stop. Or something, and so we call a break, and he comes up to me and he says, "I used to teach adults, by the way, so it's okay."
Dinah is off at 3:55, so it kind of is.
He comes up to me, he goes, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yeah, that's what I'm here for." He goes, "Are you a potentate?" And it didn't click, right? Because I'm in IT mode. I'm like,
Yeah.
Am I in what?
The feminine product?
No. This was in the morning. It wasn't a summer's eve. But thanks for asking. So I said. So it took me a second. He goes, "Well, I joined the shrine." I'm like, "Oh no, I was the guy in the makeup." Which is great because I got to look like I was bossing people around, but only for the 30 minutes you're in the makeup.
Yeah.
Then somebody else does all the work, and it was a lot of fun. And so I feel that even when my work with the Scottish Rite and with Omar and myself, we redid the Marshals program for the new candidates, and I started with new candidates at the Shrine. I love that part. I do really well in that part as a worker bee. I'm just not a good recruiter. But the Shrine, that's one thing they do. And so to wrap this all up before Gonzo comes over here and pulls me off with a hook, is where do the people come from today? It's really the same place they came from before. The difference is that before, in 50, 60 years ago, there was an interest and there was a reason why people joined the fraternity.
Yep.
And that interest or reason is different now, but the membership and the pool is still the same.
Yeah.
So you need to go
It's
out
still
and
existing.
find what interests them. Some it's esoteric, some it's historical, some it's fellowship, and that's what you need to look forward to. And so, I guess to finally answer the question you asked me, what started, 2 weeks ago for continuity's sake, that's all I got, guys. I wish I had more.
Well,
That's
thank you,
actually-
brother. Thank you so much.
My
Yeah.
pleasure.
No,
That was
It's
great.
actually a great place. Patrick, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you for
Exactly,
having me.
You
man.
say you're not a great recruiter, but just talking.
I know.
No, seriously.
I guarantee
Yeah,
you
like,
there's
seriously,
people out
you're
right
like-
now who are
This
like,
podcast can
hey.
go on forever just talking.
Yeah.
We got to have you back. We're going to have you back.
we will
We
have
have to
you
have you back.
Absolutely.
Guys,
Absolutely.
we're about to hit our weekly limit,
Yeah, our weekly limit.
and
And here we are.
And this is what happens when you don't mind the major. See,
don't use your own gimmicky hashtag.
my patrolman. It's not a gimmicky hashtag.
It's a gimmicky hashtag.
Bring the
There we go,
hashtag.
brothers.
I don't want to chinks it over here.
What are we ching?
Hey, I can't claim. I can't claim to be the fat guy in 1830. Thank God.
Hey, cheers.
There we go.
Good times and always here at Refreshment Masonic Video Podcast.
At the Trial Club.
At the trial
At the
club.
Trial
Trial
Club here at
Club.
Manny's in Elmhurst, and with our guitarist Chris over here serenading us.
There's our Gonzo.
Yeah, our Gonzo is here. And
Winding it down.
that means it's time for us to sign off and get home to our wives and significant others. Thank you for watching, and please watch again. We'll be back with more.